Cell. Thank you for joining me. Hope you all are having a wonderful weekend, wonderful work day. It's afternoon time here in East Tennessee, and I decided to bring you the commentary that I promised you last week. Take the polls on my community page pertaining to this subject matter. What do you do if your boy child comes to you and asks for a doll? Girl dolls, girl toys. What do you do if he asks if you would buy him a dress? Girl clothing. Take the polls on my community page and tell me what you would do. Now, someone asked about the age. We're talking about small children, at least to, 10, 11, before preteen age. But to me, a child's a child under the age of 18. Now, some of you may say, well, Queen, if it's a small child, 5, 6, or under 10, 11, I'd say no. But maybe preteen, I would go ahead and allow him to wear girl clothing. I would buy the girl clothing. But I think most of you know that with buying the girl clothing comes other things, such as, now I want to be called a she instead of a he. What are you going to do if he says, well, I don't want you calling me Bob, Bobby. I want you to call me Barbara. Call me Barb. I do not want to be identified as a he. I want to be identified as a she. So see, one thing begets another. Weigh in. Give me your opinion. What would you do? How would you react to hear that your boy child wants to play with girl toys, dolls, paraphernalia that's female? And now he wants to wear a dress, a skirt, pretty little girl shoes, blouses. What do you do? Do you have a talk with your child? Now, one guy chimed in on the channel, and he said he'd have a lecture with his child. Now, some might say a lecture sounds very strong. You're speaking to a small kid, 3 years old, 5 years old. I don't think he would be lecturing a small child, almost as if you're chastising the child for having this identification issue. But yes, I would talk to my child and ask him, well, Bobby, tell mommy why you want to wear a girl dress. Why do you want to wear a dress? Why do you want to play with girl dolls? And I'd wait on the response. I thank God I never had to be in this type of situation because I don't really know how I would handle it. I'm going to be truthful. And I don't think I would buy the dolls. No, I would not buy the dolls, and nor would I buy girl clothes for my son. If I'm looking at him and I'm seeing the tendencies that he acts feminine, he is attracted to feminine things, I would just have to deal with that. How, I don't know, but I'm not getting ready to feed the enemy. And someone said, well, Queen, that's not a good thing to say. Well, I'm just speaking, analytically. Not going to feed the temptation. I come from a time when it was a man and a woman. Man met girl, lady. He courted her, dated her, married her. They had children, had a home. There was no talk of homosexuality. There was no talk of girls wearing guy clothing, wanting to be a guy, act like a guy. There was no guy wearing feminine clothing. Now, I will say that back in the day, I do remember there was a man who lived in the neighborhood. He would always walk by our apartment building, I guess coming home from work. He was a cross dresser. And I knew even as a child that he was a guy because I would hear my mother and godmother discussing, that he was I don't know if they called him a bull dagger or what, but, I put two and two together. That wasn't a female dressed up. And then you can look and, I'm a kid, I'm not dumb. I could tell that's not a woman. That's a man dressed in female clothes. And see, people don't think about things like that because now it's more accepting to be allegedly who you are, who you think you are. So people are just running with whatever. Be yourself. But nobody thinks about the consequences, especially when you're dealing with children. You see, how you start is not how you always finish, okay? So a boy grows up feeling like a girl, wanting to be a girl at some point, maybe even wanting the surgery before becoming an adult, but you don't know the complications. For one, getting the surgery. Two, wanting to live as a she. You think it's just going to be easy to go in a store and buy female clothes and makeup and then come outside and tell the world you are now a she when people know you as a he. And now you're expecting people to call you a she. It doesn't work like that. That's your interpretation of how it should be. But it does not mean people are going to go along with it. Now, some people are more accepting now, present day, of people wanting to identify with the opposite, as the opposite sex. And then there's some people who don't care for it, okay? But when you start talking about changing the body, taking hormones, wanting to get the surgery, especially for the men, it's not meat and potatoes, literally. There have been many complications with surgeries, bleeding, not to be graphic, but just being truthful. Stitching, not staying stitched, skin not staying stitched, and no feeling. And this happens anyway with surgery because I've had a few surgeries and I can say in the places that I had surgery, there's numbness. Sometimes you get the feeling back, sometimes you don't. It took years for me to actually get feeling, in my breast area years ago when I had surgery. So you need to think about that when you decide, I'm going to go and get this surgeon to rearrange my organs and identify as a female. What are the ramifications going to be? It's not what you think. Just as I'm saying, any surgery can bring complications. Numbness, tingling, no feeling, infection, hell, even death. And you're talking about taking your vital organs and changing them around. So that's something that a parent would have to talk to his or her child about, because eventually it may come up, that subject, as time goes by. Hey, I'm dressing like this girl, I'm identifying as a she. Well, I need the money for the surgery. Now, here in this great state of Tennessee, our lawmakers are saying they are not allowing you to do any augmentation on your children. And I agree. No one should want to have their child operated on to change their sex. That's just me personally. You may not agree, that's fine. But your child should be able to make this decision when he or she becomes a legal adult and they pay for it with their own damn money. I do not think you should be paying for a child to have a sex change. And this is what I'm talking about, beginning stages. Okay? Hello, Jersey Devil. Thanks for joining me. I'm bringing all this up about the sex change to show you where it can go when you open Pandora's box to aid your child on this journey of self-identification. It's not going to just stop with playing with toys, girl toys, or G.I. Joe dolls, or whatever if it's a girl. It leads to other things. And we have heard of such horrible stories of bullying, suicide, homicide. It comes with this journey of self-identification. And I'm not telling anyone that you shouldn't be who you think you want to be. Let me make that clear. You do whatever it is you would like to do. You're a guy, you want to wear women's clothing, fine. You're a female, you want to wear guy clothing, fine. You want to identify as a he, fine. You want to identify as a she, fine. But you can't tell others how to identify you. Whether they know your birth genetics or not. You understand what I'm saying? So this is a tricky subject to have with the child, because as I said, it's not just going to be about playing with dolls and wearing dresses, me going to the store and buying my son a dress, girl clothing, girl shoes. I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it. I think it's a recipe for disaster. You start buying a boy girl clothing. Because as I said, there's going to be more to the situation than just buying the clothes and buying girl paraphernalia. It's going to lead to other things. And I think you would have to know that. And a lot of people are very green in this subject matter. And that's expected because, as I said, everyone is raised different. Everyone's grown up with different ideas of what a woman is, what a man is. And some people have not conformed to this new way of living of guys walking around with purses and high heels and makeup and identifying as a she and wanting people to call him a she, or vice versa, she wanting to be called a he. A lot of people don't know anything about this lifestyle, and they're not accustomed to it, and they're not trying to adapt. And this goes to what I was saying. You can't make a person adapt. You can't say, well, you better understand. You better agree. People don't have to agree. And people don't have to accept you. Many people are not accepted in this world, okay? I think we know this. People are not accepted for their weight, their height, the color of their skin, their hair, hairstyles, facial features, deformities, handicaps, mental disabilities. The list goes on and on. As I always say, what you are willing to tolerate. And some people don't want to tolerate anything that don't look like him or her. Well, she don't look like me. I'm a thin blonde. I'm beautiful. I'm talented. I'm smart. She don't look like me. I don't want to have anything to do with her. He ain't my type. He don't look like me. I don't want him in my circle. I do not believe in bullying people for whatever reason. Picking on children picking on one another. See, a lot comes with parenting. It is not an easy job. Some will say, well, you shouldn't call it a job. Well, you're entitled to your opinion on that as well. But a lot comes with parenting. And this type of situation could be one of them that comes to your backyard, knocks on your back door, your child wanting to identify as the opposite sex, what do you do? How do you handle it? As I replied to a commenter today. Well, after you've given your son the lecture and it's not working, what are you going to do? I said, what is going to be your next move? Your son says, I want that dress. I want to wear dresses. I want to wear girl clothes. Starts falling out, crying. What are you going to do? Beat your kid? Spank your kid? Send your kid to his room? Ignore him? Every time he brings it up, I want a doll. I want a doll. You just say, Johnny, go to your room. Bobby, your room. I don't want to hear what you're talking about. What do? You're going to continuously ignore your kid? Or are you going to say, hey, you're a boy. You're going to play with boy toys. You're going to wear boy clothes. When you become an adult, you can buy all the dresses you want. But until then, while living in this house, you're going to wear boy attire. And you say it in a diplomatic way. But as I said, you're going to see that that's possibly not going to work. Now, I'm not saying go out there and buy your son a dress because he's falling out, throwing a tantrum about wanting to wear girl clothes and wanting to play with Barbie dolls. But I would say it would be a difficult situation because naturally he's not just going to give up and throw in a towel because mommy and daddy say, I ain't buying no Barbie dolls. I ain't buying no dresses, little person. I would say that would be a difficult place to be in. Do you agree? So you take the polls on my community page and you weigh in and you tell me what you think. If you were in this situation and your boy child came up to you and said, Mom, Dad, I want to wear a dress. I want to wear girl clothes. Hell, I am a girl. How do you handle it? What do you say to your son? Your minor son. What do you say to him? How do you handle the situation? Do you ignore what he is saying to you? Do you listen intently? Do you ask questions? Why do you feel this way? I think you should. Because you need to understand where your child is coming from. Why do you want to play with girl toys? Why do you want to wear girl dresses, girl attire? Tell me why. And then just ask, do you think it's right for you to walk around in girl clothes? Why do you feel like a girl? Why are you saying that you're a girl? Tell me why you feel this way. And as I said, you don't want to chastise the child because you're talking about a small child. And you don't want to hurt the child's feelings because this is his or her feelings at that time. But we have learned as time evolves and as children become adults, things change. And this is where I go into that conversation about surgery. Many men have regretted getting the surgery done. They may have felt like a female. They may have wanted to identify as a female. But once they got the surgery, it was not a great experience. And that would really be a disaster, don't you think? All these years living, you have felt feminine. You wanted to be identified as a female. You dressed as a female. You came out as a female, gay, whichever. And now you have the money to get this surgery. You get the surgery, and it is a disaster. You have no feeling down there. You're having complications, side effects. Things don't feel right. It isn't working to your advantage. You're not being able to perform sexually as you had anticipated. But that's the thing that some of these men can't seem to understand. It ain't supposed to function as a female organ. You're letting your mind trick you into thinking that a surgery is going to solve your identity issues. It can't. Because your body wasn't designed to be a woman. And no way can you say you feel like you don't know what it feels like to be a woman. You would have no earthly idea. And I can say as a woman, you don't have no damn idea what we go through as women, physically, mentally, female problems, everything from skin, hormonal, getting pregnant, giving birth, postpartum depression, mental illness, female problems. You can never understand that. Let me make that clear. You can never understand and you can't identify because you are not a female. No different than a man, a boy. I don't know what it's like to be a male. I can't even say what a man feels like sexually when he's aroused, what he feels like, his private parts, his body, because I'm not a man. And two men don't feel the same thing, just like two women don't feel the same thing sexually, mentally, physically. What you're saying to the universe, I want to be a woman. I want to be a man. But you could never be the opposite sex because God didn't design it that way. He made you in his image. Let me make that clear. And he made you a guy, a man, a male. He made she, Mary, Susan, a female. So no matter what she feels inside, no matter how she wants to look, no matter how he wants to look over here, in the end, God gave a man, male, a penis. And he gave a female breasts and a vagina. And no matter what you do to the human body, by pills, hormones, injections, getting cut on, body parts removed, biologically, you are a man, male. You are a female. No jockey shorts, baseball caps, tube socks, walking around in high heels, if you can find some your size, shut your mouth. Putting on eyelashes, makeup, wearing wigs, hair weave. Oh, you are still a male. And I'm going to say this personally. As I have said many times during my lives, I don't care what you do as an adult. Let me make that clear. As an adult, you do whatever you like to do. You want to wear makeup, eyelashes, male clothes, tennis shoes as a woman, that is your business. But as for identifying as the opposite sex, I don't feel like you have the right to tell someone to call you a he and you were born a female, nor do I believe the same for a male being identified as a female and you were born a him. That's my personal feeling. You want to dress up in the opposite sex clothing, so be it. You want to change your name, so be it. You want to get a surgery, so be it. You want to take hormone pills, so be it. But you don't have the right to tell people how to identify you and what to call you. And I get it. Some may even change their name after they get the surgery, or they may have still the male body parts, but wearing the women clothing and want to be called Sheila. I'm going to say it's hard for me to look at a man, knowing it's a man, dressed up as a female, and me calling her a she and Sheila. It's just hard for me to say it. It's even hard for me to call him a she. And I start getting tongue-tied when I have to go back and forth with which and so ever. Those are just my personal feelings. Now, the old saying is that God don't make no mistakes. But one would say, oh, is that true? God don't make no mistakes? Because why would a female feel masculine? Why would a male feel feminine? I don't know. Why would a woman be attracted to another woman? Why would a man be attracted to a man? A boy attracted to a boy? I don't know. Only God can answer that, and I have no idea. People will experiment, but the point I'm making is that things don't always stay the same. That's why I'm expressing my commentary about the surgery. You start off one way, buying the boy, girl toys, paraphernalia. Now he wants to wear the clothes. Now he wants to be called a she. Now he wants to change his sex. See, it's one thing after the other, stair step. You're flipping one stone for another one. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. How you start is not how you finish. You can grow up your entire life feeling like a girl, but it does not mean you're going to have a great experience trying to live as a she. Same for female, trying to live as a he. You have the idea in your head. You're looking and mimicking other people live this so-called life. Oh, he's doing it. She's doing it. I'm going to try it. I want to do it. He's wearing makeup. He's carrying a purse. He's called Susie. I can do it. But it doesn't mean it's going to work in your favor. And you've seen over the years, the guys start out wearing the female clothing and dressing up as the she. And then one day you look up, that's the whole point. You can change your mind at any given moment. Nothing stays the same. How you think at 15, you're thinking that way at 30. You won't be thinking that way at 45 because you have the right to change your mind about anything. And sometimes things just don't work in your favor as you anticipated. So now you have to think of something else to do. And I would tell any parent whose child is having these identity issues, you let them know the consequences. And I hate to use that word, but it is a consequence because God says we're not supposed to be liking the same sex. There's going to be consequences coming with trying to live this life. Doesn't matter what you have in your head, how you have it figured out in your head. So different if a straight person has thinking, I'm going to live like this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to buy a car, I'm going to have 2 dogs, a cat. Sometimes things don't work out the way you anticipated, that's life. And as I said, parents need to talk to their children about the ramifications, the consequences of wanting to identify as the opposite sex, wanting to be a he or she, what comes with it, the bullying, the possibility of being harmed, living a lie because you are living a lie. You know, people always say, live your truth, live your truth. Well, what is the truth? The truth is you are biologically a male, so you are not a female. So you putting on women's clothing, wearing eyelashes and makeup, that's not the truth. And I think we have mischaracterized telling people, live their truth. You know, Oprah used to always say that on our show, live your truth, live your truth. But let's be truthful. It's not about hating you, not liking you, accepting you, but that's not the truth. That's your truth. And we say it all the time, live your truth, live your truth. But I think we're being hypocritical when we say, live your truth, be who you are. Boy, she had hopes and dreams for this baby boy. She had no intention of buying girl dolls in girl clothes for her baby boy. Call himself Jane. Be identified as a she. Ask his own mom, dad, family to call him a she. Do I have to live your ideology agreement? But they ride the ride because they care for the children and they want to continue to be in their children's lives. You understand? But that would be a terrible place to be as well for the parents. To have all these hopes and dreams for your children, going to do this and that, be involved in all type of activities, sports, whatsoever, and then one day they come to you and say, I'm not happy, I don't like myself, I think I'm a girl, or I think I'm a boy, I want to be a boy. Because we focus a lot on the guys, a lot, males. The girls, same thing, I'm a boy, I don't want to be a girl. And we see this with children, and when we question it, although, old black folks saying used to be, you don't question God. He has a reason for everything. But then one would say, well, if he said, I made you in my image, then why would a boy want to be a girl? And why would I learn? You see signs that she wants to play with the Tonka trucks. She wants to play with the boy toys, G.I. Joe dolls. She don't want to play with a girl doll. She don't want a Barbie doll. She don't want a baby doll. Why? What is it in her? I don't know. Why? Why does this child feel this way? And it could even be a little girl grows up, she's feminine. She likes hair bows and pretty little dresses and bobby socks, as mama used to call it growing up, bobby socks and the cute little patent leather shoes. And she likes all the girl things, but along the journey in life, either grade school, high school, out of school, an adult, she is also attracted to women. Oh, I think she's pretty. I like her. But she's always carried herself in a feminine way. Why is a female attracted to another female? Some will say, why even sample the pond? People have crossed, the pond, but maybe they decided that's not for me. This ain't me. I'm a Christian, non-Christian, but I don't really want to be with a female. I don't want to walk out in public. Female. I don't want to live with a female in that way. Same thing for a guy. He may say the same thing. Well, I sampled being with a man, but it's really not for me. I don't want to be seen walking around with a guy. I don't want to play house with a guy. And this has happened to people as well. They tried the pond and didn't want to continue. With God not making any mistakes, God making you in his image, but then why would a female want to be a male, and why would a male want to be a female? Why would you want to desire, being with the same sex? I have no idea. That is one question I can't answer. I don't even know how to answer. And you've seen it, as I had just said. You can cross over, sample the pond, don't like it, go back to dating opposite sex. Or you could spend your whole life, as we have seen, women dating men, making children. Then one day they sample the pond, they like it, and now they're dating a woman, living with a woman, playing house with a woman. And then, you might be confused, like, well, what happened, Jane? Why are you dating this lady? I thought you liked men. Well, I like both. Or I don't like men anymore. I don't want to be with a man anymore. Could it be she felt damaged, mistreated, had a lot of problems dating men? Hell, I'll go ahead and try a woman. Let me see. Everyone's story is different, But you have seen that. Grew up living the life as a female, girly girl, had children, played house with men, dated men, married, whatsoever. And then one day decided to date a woman, marry a woman. Then flip back, go back to a guy. And that would be confusing to the flip-flopping. I guess I'm kind of doing an all-around live right now. Why are you going back and forth? Why don't you just choose a box? But there are people who are bisexual. They like both. And you've heard people say, I like men, women. I'm a woman. I like a woman and a man. Or a man says, I like women too. I'm attracted to women. But I always say when it comes to the men, and this may be bias, but I always feel like if a man says, I'm bisexual and I like both, I would assume he likes the men more. And that's just my personal belief. You like a man more. That's usually what happens. They will gravitate towards the man first. And you've seen this in many relationships where the man was dilly-dallying around with both, but he always will go back to the guy side. And to me, that's a dangerous game to play when you say you like both, because this is how people get hurt. And sometimes people don't tell they're playing both sides of the coin. And this is why you need to be honest. She says the mistake came when the egg was forming. Oh, Tina, please. Maybe. I mean, because you know there are people who are born with two body parts. That's scary right there. Those are just my thoughts. But as I said before during this live, how you choose to live is your choice. Just know that everything is not as it seems or as you may plan it to be. And I would say it would be very difficult to be a parent and have this dilemma come up in your household of trying to navigate a child being confused about who they are. And once he's a girl, he wants to play with girl dolls and wear dresses. I'll go out and buy him dresses. I'll go out and buy him girl items. But some of you all answered on the polls. I believe that majority of you were saying no, you would not agree to purchase girl toys and dolls, dresses for your sons. And I would say definitely as a small child, I would not do it. No, I just wouldn't start that. I would tell my child, I love you. I'm going to work on these feelings, but I'm not buying any dresses. I'm not buying any dolls because I know it may even seem cruel to some of you. Well, you know they're going to talk about it all the time. Tina, thank you. I just think it's going to be a recipe for disaster because one thing's going to lead to another. It's just like anything. You buy the doll, you buy the dresses, it's going to lead to something else that you're not going to be ready for because you weren't expecting your little boy, a 4-year-old, saying, I want a doll, I want a dress, I want it. Okay, you feel pressured. Okay, so we go run to Walmart, we get some girl toys, girl dresses. Then what? I don't like my name. I'm a girl. Don't call me a boy. See, one thing begets another. So you can't think it's going to stop with you just buying what your child is asking for. The boy wants the girl items. It is not going to stop there. The little girl wants boy toys, items, clothes. There. And that's what you have to tell yourself before you start buying the items. Where is this going to lead? Where is this going to end up? I would take the child to counseling to see where the child, you know what I'm saying, get some professional help. Just to see where the child's coming from, why he or she feels this way. And maybe that person can guide you on what to do next. But I would say it would be a hell of a journey to be on. And I would not want to be in anyone's shoes. Let me tell you. Because you have people who may come out the closet when they're grown or say, hey, I want to be this, I want to be that. And the parents are still stunned, even if they saw signs that, okay, my daughter's a little masculine, she was a tomboy, she really didn't like dresses and this and that. You still may have hopes that she'll come around. Same thing for the boy. You notice feminine tendencies, but you still may have had hopes that he would come around. But it didn't work out that way. Hello, T. Conky. My daughter wanted a tattoo when she was young. I told her when she is 18, we will talk about it. She never mentioned it when she was 18. No tattoos to this day. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Things change. This is the reason why this state here, I live in Tennessee, our lawmakers are saying, we're not going to give you permission to go take your child to be cut on and made into a woman. You're damn right. Because I have seen time and time again, men who have done interviews, documentaries, and said, I regret having the surgery. You know why they regret it? Because they didn't get the feeling they thought they were going to get. And that's the point. Oh, thank you. Not always right, T. Conky, but thank you. You can't get the feeling of a woman because you are not a woman. Just like women all the time are trying to explain to men how they feel emotionally, physically, when they're in pain, what's going on with their body, what don't feel right. He can't understand. He's not a woman. But you can go bump into a woman at Walmart and start talking about body issues and body problems and feminine stuff. She gets it because she's a woman. And she may not exactly have those things wrong with her. Understand, you can't be what you were not born for you. For you. He gave you that penis, scrotum. He said, Bobby, I want you to have a penis. That's your penis. I want you to keep it. I don't want you messing with it because I gave that to you. And then you decide, well, I want it. It ain't good enough. So God says, okay. Okay. You do whatever you want with it. But don't come back to me when your new vagina don't work out. Whoa, shut your mouth. See, God has a plan. And we are selfish creatures. Okay? We're selfish creatures. We want what we want right then, right now. But it doesn't mean it's going to work in our favor. So it don't mean it could be money, a car, a human, new pair of shoes. Oh, I want these shoes. But guess what? They hurt after one day of walking in them and wearing them. Oh, I want this new house. I want this new house. You get the house, but you're not really used to paying the due bill and the things that come with having a house, whether it's a gently used house, an old house, or a brand new house. It costs to live in that house. You got to pay the due bill. Shut your mouth. And it's in the scripture. You are entitled to want and have desires. God wants you to have desires of the heart. Sorry about that. I don't know why. I'm near the router. God wants us to have desires of the heart. But what you desire may not be good for you. So you wanting to mess with your body organs, you should know better. Because as I said, you can have surgery for something serious. You have a tumor, a nodule, something like that, cancer, you need it removed. But it does not mean there won't be complications during surgery or complications after surgery. Doesn't mean the cancer won't come back. Doesn't mean that you won't get another nodule, another lump. May not heal properly. Meds may not be working best for you. You may not be healing properly. Healing as you should. I'm going to tell you something I saw the other day, and then I'm not going to hold you all much longer. This lady had a mommy surgery. I think she was some type of TikToker or something, YouTube or something. And she died getting these things done to her body. What you have to ask yourself, these your plans or God's plans? Did God want you to keep getting nipped and tucked on, getting breasts upsized, getting your stomach sucked out, fat sucked out, thighs sucked out? Did God want that for you? Because, you know, as I said, we are selfish creatures. And sometimes we think we know everything and we know what is best for us until shit goes awry. And perhaps God is saying, I wanted you to go work out. And I get it. Sometimes even working out, managing your way through diet doesn't give you that taut look you're looking for. Because certain things you can do to lose weight, the body sags. As most of you know, if you've kept a lot of weight on, your weight goes up and down. Weight distributes itself differently each time. So you gain 10, you lose 10, you gain 20, you lose 30. The fat distributes itself differently, and then your body looks different each time. You understand? So naturally, you've carried a lot of fat. Now you want to get that excess fat removed, but you don't know the complications that comes with removing the fat. Getting the nip tucked here and this sucked out. You're just saying to yourself, I need this. I'm sick of this flabby side, this flabby stomach, flabby thighs. I want to get rid of these things. So maybe things don't go well during surgery. Maybe you stop breathing. Maybe you're bleeding too much. And maybe afterwards you don't heal well. You get an infection. Next thing you know, you're in ICU and you're deceased. And this has happened. And I'm assuming this is what happened to this young lady. And you can look at her in the picture. She looks thinner, nice, you know, perky boobs, but she's also dead. And I don't know exactly what she had done, but the point is she's not here because she had some work done. And perhaps she had more than one procedure done, which I think is dangerous. And I think most people would say, well, women, well, let me go ahead and get 2 for 1. Let me get 2 done. That way I ain't got to come back. But maybe your body is saying, I'd rather you come back later. Okay, you get this worked on, start work on today. And then let's wait 6 months to a year, and then you go back and get your thigh done. You don't need to get them both done at the same time. But we have these surgeons who, you know, they're offering this mommy tuck, mommy makeover business. I could do this and this and this one time. But your body says otherwise. I don't want you having multiple things done on the table. I want you to get your stomach done and then wait, come back, get your thighs done or get your arms done, whichever. It's a sad story. And we're hearing a lot of complications with surgeries, with these mommy makeovers and women going overseas to Mexico, different South American countries to get these procedures, and they're not coming back alive. And as I said, I get it. You can lose weight. Many people have lost weight, but it's what's left over from the losing weight. People, naturally they're not pleased because the fat is now flabby, it's hanging. And you want it, nip tucked and taken away. I get that. And then you have some women, as I said, they just have maybe some basic fat, not a lot of flab, and they just want to get it neat and tucked, but things don't work out. See, that's the thing. You don't really know what it's going to be until you cross that road. That's the point. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to change your looks. You don't like your nose, you don't like your eyes, you don't like your ears, you want fuller lips, you want to take some fat out of your lips, you want to get rid of your little chin. Okay. But you have to know there could be repercussions for trying to change anything. So I ask you, you have a minor boy child, and he comes to you to say he wants to play with a doll, he wants girl toys. Do you buy them? Number 2, he also wants to wear girl dresses, girl clothes. Do you buy them as well? And then I'll ask you this, and I'll put this on a poll after this live. Is it right to buy a boy girl clothes and dolls? Is it right to dress your boy child in girl attire? You take the poll after this live. Thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful weekend. I'm going to come back possibly later this evening or tomorrow to talk about Dorothy Puente. She is a woman in California. She's no longer alive though, now. California. And she had a house, and she unalived her tenants to steal their Social Security checks. We're going to talk about Dorothy Puente. Please check out the movie on Tubi. I mentioned it a few days ago. It is a very good movie. And also, I believe I shared to my community page a documentary about Dorothy Puente and her upbringing came from and what led her down this devious road to steal money from men, women, murder them, and bury them in her backyard. She also prostituted herself. Dorothy was a bad, bad girl. And it's something to think about when we talk about these true crime stories, this Nancy Guthrie case. People have been known to allow people for the least amount of money. Thank you, T. Conky. You too. Thank you. So when you think about this Nancy Guthrie case, I want you to think about Miss Dorothy, okay? Somebody wanted money allegedly for Nancy Guthrie, at least $6 million. Don't know if they're the actual kidnapper or not. Now, let's go back in time. Dorothy, elderly woman, greedy, hungry, deviant, diabolical psychopath, killing for probably just a couple of $100 or less. Because you got to remember, she was doing this back in the late 60s, 70s to the 80s. So naturally, Social Security was not a lot back in those days. Stay woke. What is that saying you hear a lot? They have been known to kill for less. Exactly. Somebody will unalive a person for $2,500, as I saw in a documentary the other day of a black man not wanting to be a new father to his girlfriend's baby. So he sends money to his friend in Oklahoma to come to the Midwest and unalive his baby mama. $2,500. $2,500 was the asking price for murder. $100, $200 in Social Security checks. Why? People will unalive you for a costume, jewelry, ring, necklace, thinking it's real. Knock you down for a nice leather coat, pair of Air Nikes off your feet. Beat you down for a Gucci bag. Self-entitlement, greed can get you harmed or unalived. I want you to think about that. The lengths people will go to get what they want. Either stealing, defrauding, murdering by themselves, hiring someone to do the job for them. We live in a scary world. That's the next live. Dorothy Puente. And that's Puente. If you're curious to who she is, Google her. You will be mortified at the information. I'd heard about Dorothy when I was younger. Very cruel woman. And the sick part, besides her being so greedy and stealing these sick people's money, a lot of them were alcoholics, mentally disabled. One, she did end up putting in a pine box with the help of another Hispanic male and shipping it down a river. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Told the guy, I'm donating some things to the church and I'm putting it in his box. So when he came back to help her, thinking he was going to be, loading that box up, long box, do the math. He's looking at it thinking it's a coffin. Why this box so long? Why is this box so heavy? Oh, I had a lot of stuff put in there. It was also nailed shut when he returned. Of course, because Dorothy did not want him to know it was a dead person in that damn box. So they took that box, allegedly supposed to be to the donation site, but they ended up at a riverbank. And he's asking Dorothy, well, I thought we were taking this to the church or taking it to a donation site. I changed my mind. It ain't nothing but trash in there. Are y'all hearing this? So this gullible guy helps her load it down the embankment and push it into the river. And you should know eventually that bad box floated its way back up. And the truth was revealed about who was in that box and where he had been living. So I always tell you, you have to be very careful. The company you keep, living with people. And this is one reason why I've always said on this network why I would never live with another human being as far as in their house. Because right now we have a lot of people who don't have anywhere to live and they can't afford rent. So they're living in other people's houses. They're paying for rooms. I see this all the time advertised on Facebook, different places, and it's dangerous, in my opinion. I get it. You're doing what you have to do. I would rather stay in a hotel than live in your house. I don't know you. You don't know me. You're taking a chance to go stay in someone's house because you don't know their temperament. You don't know the real reason they got you staying there. You don't know anything about their company. Hell no. And then you don't know anything about the person you're inviting into your house, because we've seen people get put out their own damn houses because they let strangers come in there and then they take over and find a way to get them put out their own damn house. You got to think like that. You can call it cynical. You can call it what you want. We don't live in a day and time where you can think it's Alice in Wonderland. And you saw that with the Savannah Guthrie interview. She is not aware of what's out here, which is weird because she works on NBC News and she has heard the worst stories known to man, and she lives in a very violent city, which is New York. Find me strange, she don't get what is out here, the elements, which could be in her own backyard. But she doesn't want to think it's her family, and I get that. But that's the point I'm trying to make to you. You don't know people. So hell no, I'm not going to stay in your house and pay you money to stay in one room. I may come home one day, the locks are changed. I can't get in the house. Now I'm calling the police to try to get my things out of there. And they're looking at me like, well, she says she don't know you and you don't stay here. And then we go walk through the house, ain't nothing in there that resembles Queen's belongings. Do you see where I'm going? Or they decide to snuff you out in your sleep one night, walk in your room and cut your throat and suffocate you. And take all your belongings and personal effects. Hell no. I'm not even about to give the devil that much ammunition. And like I said, we are trusting people at some point, because you do have to trust people to do things for you, such as repair things inside of your apartment, your condo, your house. Somebody's got to do the yard work. If you're not doing it, family's not doing it. But you need to be careful what you say, how you talk, who you let in, because a person might decide they're feeling faint, they need a glass of water, I need to use your restroom. What do you say? Oh no, you can't come in my house and use the bathroom, babe. You need to go to the filling station and pee. You got some people who will tell a person that. You're here to cut the grass, the weeds, you can't come in my house. Think about that. Walking a person out the door. Listen very carefully. Never let a person shut the door without you seeing them go out. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Especially for somebody you don't really know. So the repair guy comes in, they're leaving. Hey, we're getting ready to go. Okay, let me walk you to the door. You walk them out. You know why? You walk them to the door. You want to make sure, number one, they actually leave. Number two, they don't put anything in between the door and the latch, such as duct tape, so they can come back in. Slide a card through to pop the door open. But you all are like, damn, Queen, come on now. Queen don't miss nothing. You know why I mentioned it? Because it's been done. Don't talk about anything personal while the people are visiting, doing work on your house, inside or outside, on vacation. Don't talk about anything. Don't talk about nobody getting ready to leave, go away to college, do nothing. You don't want the person to know you're by yourself. And we have that habit as women being too talkative. Yeah, it's just me here and I ain't got nobody coming and going. You don't need to be telling people that you don't know that you live alone and you're by yourself, because they can come back. And we've heard stories of people doing that, doing work for the elderly lady, and then you double back to breaking her house and rob her and then unalive her. That was a story that happened in Florida many years ago. Had some old junkies coming in there doing some work, and they're looking around. People look around. I've noticed that over all I've lived on my own as a young person. I've noticed how people looked at my apartments when they came in. First thing they always say, very clean, smells good in here. Oh, you have nice things. Oh, you decorate very nice. And I'm appreciative of that. Well, sometimes, T. Conky, you can't get somebody to come over when you're having work done in your house. But I understand what you're saying. But you have to be careful. And like I said, I've heard it a lot over the years, living alone myself. Oh, it's so nice in here. Smells good in here. Oh, you have nice things. You don't know who's who. And I'm always friendly with the maintenance people wherever I have lived, but I don't know them. And you don't know the day that you're sitting in a chair or in your bedroom and they're in another room doing something, and they might decide to just walk in your room. You're not even paying attention. They just walk in a room and take advantage of you, pull your hair, choke you out, pull your clothes off. You don't know people. And I can say, as I have told you all before, and all the stories I've shared with you on this network, I attract all types of men. Okay, I'm not a bad looking lady. Okay, yeah, I'm tooting my own horn. So I've had white men flirt with me, black men, Hispanic men, a lot of white men. Oh, you're a nice looking lady. You have a boyfriend? You dating anybody? Yeah, I got a friend. Definitely gonna say that to anybody coming here doing work, because I don't want you to think you have the right to bring your ass back here. Excuse my language. I don't want you coming back here. I just want you all to be aware, okay? Because the stories I share on this network, they are about real people. They are real people who are missing. They are real people who are no longer alive. And sadly, these people trusted someone and they are no longer here. So this is not a game. The information that I'm bringing to you, my opinion pertaining to keeping safe and staying safe, it is information that needs to be shared so you can wake up tomorrow and see another beautiful day in the neighborhood. Okay? So I got my window up. Sorry about that. It's one of the neighbors' car alarms going off. I want you to be safe. I want you to stay safe. I want you to always think about your safety. I want you to always think about the people you're talking to, the information you're sharing, when you're out in public, what you're talking about, even the things that you post, comment on YouTube, TikTok, IG, any platform, especially with your real name. You have to be careful. I keep telling you this. I'm going to keep telling you this until I no longer make videos on YouTube. You need to be aware of your faculties. You need to be aware of who you're talking to. You need to be aware of new friends, associates. People can send somebody to be your friend. They just want to use them to see what the hell you're posting and what you're talking about. Yeah, we got low down people that do that. She accepts her friend request, and now that friend is coming back reporting to you everything he's doing and saying on Facebook. And see, the dangerous thing about Facebook, IG, you can share all that information. Any post somebody's got, usually you can share it unless they've got their settings, turned off. Certain things can't be shared. But hey, you could take another phone and take a picture of the page, the photo, and send it to somebody through text messages or Messenger. Girl, this is him. This is the new girlfriend. There's always a way. And going live in public places is also dangerous. Because now you're telling people, number one, where you are, where they can find you, and two, that you're not home. So imagine you're in Mexico, you're in France, you got an enemies. They now know you're out the country and where you live. Boom. For a reason why a lot of famous people get their houses broken too. Have you noticed that most famous people get their houses broken in when they are not there? That's because one, somebody's watching. Usually it's more than one. I hear they work in teams out there in LA. This is why you have to spend the money to keep your fortress locked down, guarded. Every window, every door, sensors, motion lights, an alarm. This is the type of world that we're in, that you're not even safe in your own home. And if you didn't know, the Nancy Guthrie case is a prime example that you are not safe, even in your own home. I shared with you Savannah's commentary yesterday during my live. Please check it out. There's a part 3 that's been uploaded to the YouTube queue by the Today Show, NBC. Please check it out. I shared it on my community page. She will be returning back to the Today Show April 6th. Savannah Guthrie will be returning to the Today Show April 6th. What is she going to do with the home, she and her siblings? I don't know. Some people felt offended when we asked that question a few weeks ago. I felt like it was a damn good question. There's nobody living there. The mother is missing, possibly dead. You have to do something with the house at some point. And frankly, as I told you all, I would not want any parts of that house. I would not care that I grew up there. I had good, fond memories there. I don't know if I would feel comfortable being in that house knowing my mother was hurt in that house and she's missing still. But like I said, everyone's different. What will they do with the house? What should they do with the house? Should they continue keeping the house? Should they sell the house? What should they do? Hello, Gigi. Gigi, you came right when I'm getting ready to leave. Hi, sweetheart. What should they do with the home? Weigh in. If ever you get bored, I might be putting my foot in my mouth. You can reach the queen directly on Instagram at big.sexy.71. It's in my profile on my channel. Feel free to call me at any time. Reach out, send me a message. I will respond to you. If you want to give me a suggestion for a show or you want to discuss the program and I bring you on the channel and we can talk. I guess I can call him a fan. He is this guy who had brought information about Summer Wells to YouTube a few years ago. And, he thought he had saw her, but obviously it wasn't Summer Wells. He's not feeling very well. He's having some health problems. So I'd like for you to keep him in your prayers, Mr. Bobby. What people are saying on YouTube, he came forward. He thought that could have been Summer Wells. He didn't know. So he did do the right thing. But as I told him, you have to be very careful bringing information to YouTube, social media about anything, especially when it's pertaining to true crime, because you can open Pandora's box to some foolishness. Manhunt going on here from Georgia. Wow. What is it about, Gigi? What time is it? Lord, it's almost 3 o'clock. Got to get me some late lunch. Joseph Holloway, a.k.a. JoJo. Well, what has he done? Has he unalived someone? 4 thumbs up. Y'all get those thumbs up. Okay. Okay. YouTube didn't want to show your comment, but Gigi says he unalived a man, stole a car, ran over to North Carolina. Okay. Thank you. Well, hopefully he's caught. Um, and I'm sure he will be because he's desperate. And as I said, desperate people do desperate things. Oh, that's okay. You know, when you're doing the lives by yourself, because YouTube will moderate the chat for me, and if there's anything that they'll remove the comment, but I still can go in and see what the comment is and show it. But I tried hitting show, but it won't show it for some reason. But it keeps. I don't understand what's going on. Okay. Well, I'm going to check out of here. Gigi, you should have came a little earlier, girl, but you can hit me up on Instagram as well. Once again, you can hit me up at big.sexy.71 if you'd like to donate to this great network. $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live. This commentary is pertaining to your children. Thank you, sweetheart. You're welcome. Boy children, and this also can go for girls. I just use boys for an example. Your boy child feels like he's a girl, wants to be a girl, wants to play with girl toys, wants to wear girl clothing. What do you do? How do you handle the situation? Do you just talk to your child, tell them you can't allow this, you won't buy the items, you love them, you care for them, but when you become older, an adult, we maybe can address it then. But as for now, I will not be buying any dolls, any girl clothing. Or do you throw in the towel and say, oh, what's the harm? I'll buy him a couple of dresses. I'll buy him these girl dolls. Maybe he'll grow out of it. What do you do? I will be putting up some polls after this live, so take the polls pertaining to this content. And once again, there's a part 3 to the Savannah Guthrie interview, and also Dateline is doing a special, and I believe it comes on tonight, so check it out. The next live is pertaining to Dorothy Puente. We're going to talk about this devious woman who unalived her boarders to steal their Social Security checks. Dorothy is no longer alive. She died in prison, but we're going to talk about her, and we're going to talk about American greed, how far people are willing to go for the almighty. And we're also going to talk about this case here still running almost months. The disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Was this about greed? Or was this a deliberate homicide of an elderly woman? And if it was a deliberate homicide, who and why? Who wanted her dead? Why did they remove her from the house? Had she offended someone? Was it about her children? And are her children involved? Because when you watch Savannah's commentary, she can't believe her family is involved. They took good care of mommy, as she said, Annie and Tommaso. And I listened to all of that. And I try to remain objective in listening to her commentary, but I always go back to who I am as a person. I don't know you, Savannah. I don't know your husband. I don't know your sister and her husband. I don't know your brother and his wife. I don't know any of your relatives out there in Arizona or anywhere else and far between. I don't know you all. And I know that if you can't even believe that they could possibly unalive your mother for the almighty dollar, I just find it strange. And I get it. She does not want to believe the worst of her family. And maybe she's living in a bubble, as most of those people out there in Tucson are obviously living in a damn bubble. Is she naive? Take a poll on my community page. I think she is. And I'm not here to say that her family's involved. Let me make that clear. But the fact that she can't consider that they did it, due to the fact that, one, she works on a news network, she lives in a rough city, and she has seen that crimes are usually committed by people who know the victim. How often did Annie and Savannah talk? Number one. How often did Savannah talk to her brother? How often did he talk to Annie? Did they all get along? Who is the ringleader, head knocker of the groups for saying Savannah? They feel like she's the most outspoken one and probably the one that is the go-to person in the family. What is her obligation to those siblings? See, you gotta ask all those questions. How did they get along? How did they get along with Nancy? Did Nancy have a favorite? Did they really respect their mother? Did the mother respect them? Were there other family members trying to get a piece of the pie, wanting money, needing money, begging for money? Did Savannah take care of her siblings? That's a very important question. Sure, I'll give you the money. Sure, I'll send you the money. And maybe somebody decided this ain't enough. I need more. You're living good over there in New York. I just want a piece of the pie. And like I said, I'm not here to say that these people have anything to do with Nancy's disappearance or unaliving. But greed is a motherfucker, okay? And some people get tired of being behind. I think a lot of us have felt this way. Why not me? Why am I not over there? Why don't I have this nice house, fancy car? I don't got a boat. I don't got a motorcycle. I don't have a spare house. I don't have a summer home. I don't have a guest house, swimming pool. What about me? When am I going to get these nice things? It's this sibling rivalry / homicide. And as my father once said to me, Angela, if you had $1 million right now, it would not be enough. I said, why would you say that? Yes, it would be. He said, no, it wouldn't. Now, maybe he was speaking for himself or the person he thought I was, who would want more, need more. And maybe he was thinking from a logical perspective that once you start spending the money, one, you can't get it back. And you're going to have to be able to keep up the lifestyle that you have now acquired. And this is the very reason why a lot of people go broke. They don't have a way to recoup the money. They owe out. And we've heard that with people who win the lottery. They're usually broke within 3 years. Imagine that. Because that's the whole point, that if you've never had a large sum of money, you really don't know what to do with it. Your mind is telling you, I can manage, I can sustain, maintain. But if you don't have a money manager, somebody you can trust, somebody to guide you on how to live, what your budget, hell yeah, the money will get gone. And you'll be right back in the poorhouse from whence you came. Late this morning while I was up watching the interview room, I was checking out his network. I have been watching Mr. Chris lately because I like the people that come on the panel. Mr. Bob and Mr. Gilliam, John, all these other people, and Maureen. I love Maureen. Was this staged? Now that we know the back doors were propped open, Savannah told us that. Was this a sexual assault? Chris mentioned that. I've also mentioned that here on the network. And how sad this story is. That any one of us could end up like this old lady. And it will be a shame if indeed her children are behind this. That's what I was thinking about early this morning. As most of you know, I'm a night owl. I stay up late. It will be a shame that all this hypotheses, assumptions, accusations, pointing fingers, it is her children that got her gone. And Savannah is living in a bubble and can't accept that she don't know her family, or don't want to accept that she possibly knows her family, but don't want to mention it on TV, naturally. It will be a shame that these people unalive their own damn mother. For whatever reason. So for Savannah's sake, I hope it is an outsider that did this. Because she don't want to accept that it could be her brother, sister, and her husband. And naturally, nobody wants to think that of their own family. But there are people who would assume it was a family member, depending on the dynamics of the people in the family. And you've heard this many times in true crime, where people will willingly tell the detectives, oh, I think my brother killed my mom and dad. I think my sister did it. I think her brother, cousin did it. Because they know more than what we know. They know how the people actually interact, get along. And the one thing I found strange in the interview with Hoda Kotb was the fact she kept clarifying her brother and sister as brilliant. And that's not to throw any shade at Annie or Cameron, but it's odd to me. The brother's brilliant. He's a fighter pilot, blah, blah, blah. Then she goes on to say the same about the sister and her depth and this and that and her intuition. Well, what intuition did she have pertaining to your mother missing? Did she foresee your mom missing in the darkness of night? And the fact you keep talking about faith and God, our understanding is that Annie is into this Wiccan business, which has nothing to do with Jesus. Allah, Jehovah, or nobody else. Shut your mouth. So I wonder if that also played a part in this dynamic. Could it be somebody got tired of hearing Nancy talk about Allah, God? I don't believe in God. I don't care about no God, no Jesus. Tired of hearing about it. Because I can tell you now, ain't no witch caring about no G-O-D. Now, I'm going to keep it real. If this is true. Hello, Ivana, how are you? If the allegations are true, that she participates, because I want to make sure I say allegedly, in this Wiccan lifestyle, I don't think she believes in G-O-D or Jesus Christ Superstar, okay? And for all I know, that could have been some type of contention between the family. Hi, sweetie, thank you. She don't believe in God and she's tired of hearing about him. What's the old song? I want to be free. I want to be free from all this. I want some money. Me and my husband are poor. We broke. We need some money. We don't want to walk around living hand to mouth. We're tired of driving this old Honda. I want a BMW. I want a Range Rover. I want a Tesla. You know what I'm talking about because I lived it. I lived it. Damn, when am I going to get a piece of the pie? When am I going to get this break to be famous, to be an actress, to live in a fine home? And it's nothing wrong with wanting things. Let me make that clear because it's in the scripture if you believe in the Bible. God tells you, you are entitled to have desires of the heart. And you got people out here who have broken their neck trying to get into the entertainment business, sports, all of that. Some make it, some don't. So what I'm saying to you, I don't know, envy, loathing is real. And that what you think you know about people, you don't. I hope these people had nothing to do with unaliving Nancy, but I don't know them. And I don't know the dynamics of Nancy and her children. And I'm not getting here to sit here and say, yeah, they are perfect people. They all get along. I'm not saying that. If Savannah wants to portray that, that is her choice. But I think it was overly done in the interview. She's wanting you all to see they didn't do it. They're not behind it. They're great people. They're smart, intelligent, brilliant, whatever people. They wouldn't do this. They love mommy. Mommy loved her children. But how many times have we that and then we learn somebody related, unalive, the wife, the husband, the child, the baby. He's a great guy. He don't bother nobody, but then he goes and shoots up a school. Do you understand what I'm saying? You don't know what's in the minds of people. You don't really know how people feel. And I throw this in here because it's truth. Some people are getting offended at the insinuation that the family's involved after they've been cleared through the polygraphs. But most of you know polygraphs are not reliable. So if you are an empty vessel, stay woke now. You are an empty vessel. You are a psychopath, a sociopath. You're going to pass the polygraph. Checkmate. We're talking about Hannibal Lecter mode. While he's chewing out somebody's tongue, his blood pressure doesn't rise. Do you follow me? Hey, do you know what happened to your mother? Hey, do you like your mother? Hey, did you go in your mother's house? Hey, did you drop your mother off? Pass with flying colors. That don't mean nothing. It is a tool used. But if you don't have anything in here, you are a stuffed bird. There's nothing but cotton filling inside of you. You can pass that damn polygraph. Flying colors. Because you don't feel anything. I'm surprised they would clear them just because they passed the polygraph. They usually don't use the word cleared. See, Nanos, I'm never gonna get off this live. Nanos has eaten his own words. Everything he has said, damn near he's had to retract, double back on, which is not good. And as he has said with his own words, I've never had anybody hanging on my very word. Well, then that means you're not trustworthy and you don't know what you're saying then. That you can't be counted on and you can't be relied, because that's a stupid thing to say. I've never had anyone hang on my very word. Well, now, sir, we're hanging on your very word. And we also know that you're a liar. You lied to get into a job at Pima County. You worked your way up on the ladder on a lie, lies. So you told us who you are when you made that statement. I've never had anyone hang on to my every word. But yet you went to college and got degrees in law enforcement and public administrative, whatever. The hell are you talking about? You're sitting up here now acting like you have had no formal education, took any studies, typed up any papers. You acting like you're fucking illiterate. If I didn't know any better, I would never believe you attended a four-year institution, received a bachelor's or a master's degree. We also learned that he wanted to be a lawyer. His father said he was very combative. He was very outspoken. So we know that he liked to argue. The father's admitted that. I heard that on the interview room last night. So we're getting a little bit of information about who he is. He also was a boxer and also an actor in school, plays such and such. So we're talking about somebody who's possibly a sociopath is down south. Shut up, Quinn. Who better to lie than somebody who's performing. He's a right fighter. He wanted to fight for people's rights. That's why he wanted to possibly be a lawyer, but it ended up going into law enforcement. Then he tells somebody in the interview he stumbled into law enforcement, which kind of means he really didn't want to be in law enforcement. Everything's about perception. Who the fuck is this man? Right, apparently he's very vengeful, not a good combination. Exactly. And I asked you all on my community page, do you believe he has committed any crimes while working for Pima County? Take the polls. I posted this poll yesterday because, as I have said, if you lie about one thing, you'll lie about another. And it's obvious he has not redeemed himself by going into Pima County to work. That's why he moved over to Arizona to change his atmosphere and work for another job where nobody would know anything about what the hell happened back in Texas. But now it's come back 40-something years later, which I find very bizarre, that you all are just now digging into this man's past. You should have been doing that a long time ago when you saw red flags. And I'm also thinking to myself, he's probably done the same bullshit for Pima County and you all kept him. Why? Because old habits die hard. And if he was a fool in 77, in 82, he is still a fool in 2026. And that's a long ass time. He has not changed. He has not redeemed himself. He runs the sheriff's department with an iron fist. That's what we've heard. Because he's now the head knocker. He's now in control. He's doing it because he can. And the one thing I've learned about life, many people are the reason that people quit their jobs and the reason why people get fired. Because you are hard to work with, hard to work for, you're hard to work beside. The messy boots, the Karen the Kens, the know-it-alls, the busybodies. The people who sit at the lunch table together like a bunch of cackling hyenas. They're worried about everything besides the fucking job. You're worried about who bought a new BMW and how they can afford it, when you should be worried about your own damn life and your own damn job. This is facts. Other people are the reason we can't work at certain jobs. You can love your job in everybody's business. Don't show up late. That is Chris Nanos. Excuse me. Sorry, buffering. Sergeant Cross, who wants to get off desk duty. And I understand that. He worked his way up to sergeant. He wants to be a sergeant. Let him work. But Nanos says no. Then he put somebody on suspension that was running for the shit don't care for. You still need to try to remain objective. And it's the same for law officials. You cannot assume things by how they look, how they sound. Oh, I don't like him because he's homeless. I don't like him or her because they're black, they're Jewish. You have to remain objective because you can't get to the truth of the story if you can't remain objective. This happens every day. That's also something I was thinking about this morning. I've lived it, you lived it, and some of you may actually be the type of person I'm talking about. Some of you watching, you may be a Chris Nanos your damn self. You are a troublemaker. You cause problems everywhere you go. And I get it. Sometimes you want to be a right fighter. I may have some of Chris Nanos traits my damn self. I want to be a right fighter, but I also know that trying to fight for the right sometimes can get you caught up and it can be detrimental to your own self. I own it. But you have to know how to treat people. That's a difference. Right fighting versus mistreatment of others. Before I check out here, finally, my thoughts of Chris Nanos is that he has the little man syndrome. He is not a tall person. He has probably been bullied as a child or became a bully. He's always had to fight. That's why he became a boxer. People didn't take him serious because he's a little person. So he said, I'm going to show the world I'm somebody. I'm talented. I'm smart. Look at me. And maybe his intentions were genuine in the beginning. But when he went to work, he didn't have the qualities to sustain his position. He became combative in his mindset. And that's a dangerous person, because if you're not willing to follow rules, you're going to have a hard time in life. So many people are going to find it baffling that he made it as far as he did as sheriff. But this happens all the time, that people are climbing the ladder to success, but they don't deserve it. And to me, Chris is that person. He did not deserve to be doing a fucking thing anywhere, because he's messed up here. His ideology of being a right fighter and trying to fight for the little person has his mind. That's why he's driving that fancy Corvette, which nothing wrong with wanting a nice car, having a nice car. But people are watching and looking at that now. And he's obviously not liked by a lot of deputies. And that's not good. Matter of fact, it's quite dangerous. I think he's an unhappy person. I think he's been unhappy a very long time. He obviously divorced young, and that says a lot as well for his character. He's not happy. And as I have always said, there is nothing worse in life than being an old fool. And he is 70 years old. I also won't doubt that he has lied on people while working for Pima County. He has tried to set up others while working as a deputy corrections officer, police officer. He has a problem with the FBI because they stepped in to investigate his own deputy. But that is the FBI's job. Why are you going to be mad at something that is someone's job? Just like you have a job to do, the FBI had a job to do. Just like they came in on this case. And we also learned that he begged for them to come back to work on the Nancy Guthrie case. Checkmate. Did you hear that? Well, there's always a pattern if you look hard enough. You wanted the FBI out, didn't want them involved. Then when they left, you begged for them to come back. That's what was told on Interview Room last night. Yes, I think they should look into him. He needs to be looked into. Internal Affairs, FBI, whomever. Because I don't think he's changed his ways from El Paso. I think that's obvious. I think what happened in El Paso, all those passes they gave him, and I also put this in a post yesterday, El Paso, you have to stand account for Nanos as long as you did. You gave this man a pass 8 times. That was 8 times too many. Now, he doesn't follow rules. He's combative. You should have told that. Now, are we going to find out that somebody asked those questions, got the answers, but hired him anyway? Who's going to stand account for hiring him? That person's probably dead. But somebody needs to verify, and they are now the CEO of a corporation. They are a doctor, they're a lawyer, they're an engineer, they're a scientist. Politics, White House, it's all the same. And it's what you allow and what you tolerate. And we as people, we're tolerating this bullshit. We see the signs that the people aren't right, and God forbid we open our mouth, now we're public enemy number 1. This is why a lot of people don't like talking, or as they call it, snitching, because one, they don't want to get fired, they don't want their name put under the ringer. And when you talk about law enforcement, it's supposed to be a camaraderie. So a lot of cops don't want to tell on another cop, sergeant, detective, whomever, because it's supposed to be a brotherhood, sisterhood. But one thing I've learned about all types of organizations, groups, mafia, gangs, there is no loyalty. Did you hear what I said? There was never loyalty in the mob. Mobsters end up killing other mobsters. Gang members killing other gang members. People growing up in the same neighborhood murdering one another. Family members killing one another. Friends killing friends. Did I clear that up? There is no loyalty anywhere. The same person that hired you will be the same person that fires you. The same person that sits with you at lunch will be the same person that gossip about you when you turn your back. Same person that will try to steal your position. Same person will try to get you fired. Trust no one. It's a sad thing to say, but we live in a cutthroat world. And we have people who are, while working for Pima County, as a corrections officer and any other position that he has held. And they need to look into him, whomever. Because what did I say? If you lie about how you got to Pima County, you lied to get a job. You lied while working at Pima County. What's the difference? As he said this week, I am transparent. That's a lie. How can you be transparent about the Nancy Guthrie case and your work history when you lied to get a job at Pima County? You have caused people to quit their jobs. You've put people on desk duty. You've disagreed with people and not took in their suggestions. All type of things have been said about him. Exactly. Liars lie. And it's very rare for a liar to change. I'm going to be truthful with you. I think a thief could change quicker than a liar. You may disagree. Because we have all type of people who have committed fraud, stolen. They don't do it anymore. But a liar, very hard. And I won't doubt that even some people who still have the, gumption to steal. But a liar, that starts from childhood. Lying starts with childhood because you're trying to be something that you're not. You're not happy with self. I'm telling you, Chris is not a happy person. And lying is a form of self-hate. You lie to sustain. You want to be looked at differently. I had a friend like that. Every day was a lie, high school. And I won't doubt now, he's 2 years younger than Queen, 53. He's probably still lying. Because the stories that he would tell were just mind-blowing. Just another, that Peterson guy out there in California that killed his pregnant wife, just like him. Oh, I went to Paris for spring break. I brought you back this Fabergé egg. And I just looked at him, I'm crazy. And I'm going to say his name on a live because I don't care. Jamie lied every day. I knew Jamie did not go to Paris for spring break. And at one point I did tell him about himself, and I told him, I said, you don't have to lie for us to like you. We'll like you just as you are. And he also had an identity issue, if you know what I'm talking about. He was feminine. Didn't come out until he was an adult. But the lying was sad. He wanted to be this wealthy guy, wealthy kid. Talked about his dad had a private plane. Showed me a picture of his dad in front of an airplane. I don't know if it was his dad's plane or not. He wanted to live in some fancy house. He would take me to this fancy house outside, 2 different houses, telling me he lived there. And I told him one day, well, one day you told me you lived over here. Now you're taking me over here next door to Jake Butcher's house. Which is it? Because that's what happens when you lie. You forget the last lie that you told. Okay? The lies start to pile up and you forget what you told this person yesterday, 5 days ago. And it's a very nasty habit because people can't trust you. See, the one thing about a thief, okay, I don't put him or her in my car. I don't let him come to my house because he stole something. It's over with. But a liar, You can deal with a liar for 10, 15, 20 years and never know who he or she is. That they lied on their resume, that they didn't go to school, didn't get a degree. For all you know, they could have stole somebody's credentials. That's not even there. And the paperwork, the ID. So to me, a liar is much worse. Because I think many of us know we are either a liar ourselves or we have dealt with a liar. And you may not have known that you were dealing with a liar. You may have seen signs, heard signs that did not seem right, but you didn't have proof. To me, a liar is much worse because many people are deceived every day and they are deceived for years. And you know what I'm talking about. He has other children, other wives, other girlfriends. He's on the down low. He's gay. He's bisexual. He's committed fraud. He steals, stolen from people. May have even got some dead bodies on his back. Or she. And I'm sure many of us have told a couple of wives just to keep some people out of our business. Not saying it's right, but you don't owe everyone everything. Let me say that. So you may feel a little. Oh, I'm not telling them what happened in 1915 or what happened in 1982. It's none of their business. But you just don't want to make it a habit that every time you open your mouth, you don't ever tell the truth. I'm out of here. Thank you for your time. God bless all of you. Have a wonderful weekend. It's a little cloudy here in East Tennessee, very cloudy. Thank you for following this network. Once again, tomorrow's live is going to be pertaining to Dorothy Puente, a very devious woman who lived in California and she was unaliving her borders. We're going to talk about her. Check out the movie on Tubi. You want something to do tonight? You're not going out. You don't have plans. Turn on the Tubi app and look up this movie about Dorothy Puente. It's a very, very good movie. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you, Ivana. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. Stop by anytime. And once again, if you want to reach the Queen directly, you can follow me and message me anytime. I will respond. I'm out of here. I'm hungry. I'm going to eat me a chicken pot pie because I need something to eat. So I thank you all. I've had this is a great live. Thank you for the few people who have viewed. Thank you so much. And once again, check out my shorts. I uploaded late last night. And also I will be putting up some polls after this live. Thank you so much. God bless all of you. Thank you. I've enjoyed talking to you guys. And I really wish that I could talk to some of you in person where we could just sit around on a Zoom meeting and talk about these cases and talk about life in general. As you know, some of you may not know if you're new to this channel, I do not talk about true crime every day. As you see this subject matter about this live, children who have identity issues. So I do not want this to be a true crime channel. I didn't come to YouTube with true crime in mind. I just would talk about anything that floated my boat. Entertainment, sports, whatever. Politics, whatever's going on in the world, hypothetical situations. I'd like to talk about everything because I feel like that's who I am. I'm a very diverse person. I can make a friend anywhere. I talk about everything with strangers, people I know. So I want to bring that same person to the network. So I don't want to always talk about death, doom, and gloom. I also like to talk about relationships, parenting, friendships, what's going on in America, abroad. Thank you, Gigi. Because I think sometimes some people need that. You may come to the network listening to me talk about a true crime case, but you might be feeling down. You might be having a relationship problem. You might be having a husband-wife problem. And then maybe one day I jump on and I start talking about relationships and you're like, oh, thank God. I need to hear something else besides death and doom. And you might decide to comment and say, hey, I'm having a rough time right now. I'm not getting along with my husband. I'm not getting along with my son, my daughter. And then we engage. And I think everybody needs somewhere else to engage. Another thought before I leave about peace. And this is pertaining to Nancy Guthrie and living. Some point in life, you have to have peace. Everything in your life cannot be negative. You cannot have a negative relationship with your spouse, lover, negativity with your children, family, negativity at your job, negativity at your church, negativity at the organizations you're a part of. There has to be something good in your life. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there are people running from home to go to church, running from home to go to work. Bad job, you're running to a good home life. Do you see what I'm saying? There's got to be something good in your life where you can find peace. And I was thinking about that as well this morning. That you can't survive without something good in your life. And I don't care what anybody says, your home should be more peaceful than anywhere should be your sanctuary. I don't care if you're in a trailer, you live in a barn, you are in somebody's garage, guest house, your own home, condo, apartment, studio. That should be yours. Like being bothered with the PTA members, your job. I can go home and feel peace there. No, it's not healthy. So if indeed you have a lot of things going on in your life, okay, let's make home our number one priority for peace. Whether you have a great job, you love your job, sometimes you don't even want to go home maybe. Let's work on making that home life our best life. And I get it, a lot of you have different lifestyles. Some of you have a lot of animals, children, relatives, husband, wives, kids, whatever. I'm just going to tell you, you need to work on having that life because you have to have somewhere to sleep. Do you understand what I'm saying? When you walk in that door, there should be a sigh. Oh, thank God I'm here. You cannot wait to pull off your shoes, your coat, your purse, your briefcase. So let's work on that, okay? Because I know some of you don't have the best home lives. And I want you to work on that. Because you deserve to have a good home life. You deserve to have a comfortable environment. And it may not have everything you want. You may not have the latest furniture, LG appliances. But let's work on it being clean and serene. No fussing, no arguing, no bad language, no riffraff. And you let the people know up with any bullshit from you where I sleep. This is my house, my apartment. I call the shots. I don't want noise. I don't want to hear it. because you deserve peace. And frankly, you cannot make it today without having a peaceful home life. And I believe this. This is why a lot of people are not happy, because the home life is right and jacked up. And you cannot go out from your home to the street portraying yourself as happy go Susie May when your home life's jacked up. This is why I'm always talking to you about keeping a clean house, tidying it up, getting rid of clutter, filth, keeping up with your animals. You should do that because, one, you want a nice place, you're grateful, you're humbled. And you're telling God, I'm thankful. Thank you for this blessing. Thank you for the four walls. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Say what? Can't promise no riffraff. Ivana, well, you work on that riffraff. Because we don't want to be talking about you in a YouTube video, if you get my drift. You want peace. And as I said, I get it. Everybody lives differently. Some of you like, if at any point you don't feel safe, you don't feel comfortable, you don't like the environment, work on changing it. Because in the end, you have to have somewhere to sleep and lie your head. I'm now gone. Thank you so much. Love all of you. God bless all of you. Thank you for our new viewers. Please subscribe, hit that like button. You have been listening to The Vault Excel. Put a suggestion in this video what you would like to talk about next. Also, I read today, oh, you're welcome, sweetheart, that some Iran hackers have hacked Patel's emails or something or another. What the hell is really going on? I believe we have hit a nerve. I do not want an enemy with Iran. Let me make this clear. Iran has been combative for many moons, okay? They're not some people you want to go to war with. So I'm just going to say, let's tidy this war on up, okay? I've not been really keeping up with any of the logistics because I just hate even going into the abyss about war with this one. But let's tie this on up. We don't need any more enemies because we have a lot of unstable people and we just don't need any more enemies, okay? Thank you for your time, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. The Vault Excel.